Hey guys, so I'll be giving you guys a rundown of the ESL ESA Pro League Season 2 Finals. So the event starts pretty much today or tomorrow depending on when you watch this. So this is going to be between the four best EU teams and the four best NA teams that finished on the ESL ESEA ladder. So the teams for the NA side is going to be Liquid, CLG, Conquest, and Luminosity. Technically they're not NA, but they do play on the NA teams. So technically they're NA. And the three European teams is Question Mark, also known as TSM, Fnatic, Navi, and Envious. So the event is going to be 4 days from Thursday to Sunday. Day 1 is just going to be the group stages. Every team's going to play the other team in a BO3. Then on Friday, it's going to be the winner matches and the elimination matches. On Saturday, it's the side of the groups, and then you get 2 semifinals. And on the last day, it's just going to be the grand final, which I'm pretty sure is a BO5. So I'm just going to give you guys my rankings for ESL ESA Pro League Season 2. So these are going to be my top 8 going into the tournament. And I'm going to separate these teams probably into 3 parts. The first one's going to be the Tier 1 teams, the dark horses, and then like the people who have a chance to win like maybe one BO3 against a Tier 1 team. But they'll probably just like lose out. Maybe they'll win 1 or 2 matches, but they probably won't go too far in the tournament. So the Tier 1 teams is Fnatic, Envious, TSM, and Navi. The 2 dark horses is probably going to be Luminosity and Liquid. And Liquid doesn't have a Liege, but they have Mo, who's going to be facing Kenny S in the first match. So that's going to be like a really close one, you know, Mo versus Kenny S. And the 2 worst teams here, who aren't too far behind Luminosity and Liquid, is CLG and Conquest. So I'm just going to give you guys the reasons why I put each team in their slots. So going to this tournament, Fnatic is number 1 pretty much because Envious and TSM haven't been doing too well lately. TSM might not even be 3rd right now in the world. They're just falling. Like, for me, this is going to be the last time I'm going to be putting TSM at 3rd. If they lose to CLG, I'm probably just going to say fuck it. Team question mark / TSM. Probably isn't even a top 3 anymore, but TSM has lost to what? They lost to Luminosity, lost to SK. They almost lost to E-Frag once. Not the last one they played, but the one a week ago or something like that. And who else have they lost to? TSM, I don't know. They just pretty much been losing to everybody or barely winning over teams. So TSM right now is on a downfall, completely. Envious, also somewhat on a downfall. They just lost to Navi, even though they had a sub. They lost to Flipside and they lost to Luminosity. So they're pretty much just going downhill from here. Navi just lost to E-Frag. So pretty much every single Tier 1 team right now is on a downward spiral. Pretty much besides Fnatic. And Luminosity, they're going up. But they can't really break top 5 world because you can't really put them above Fnatic, Envious, TSM, Navi, and VP. So they're definitely not top 5 in the world. They might be 6th, 7th, or 8th. They're definitely either 6th, 7th, or 8th. So that's why we have them here at 5th. But they're probably not too big of a favorite to win this tournament. I could see them going deep, but most likely they won't make it past the semifinals or something like that. So number 6 here, we got Liquid. Probably the best NA team here since Cloud9 isn't here. And the thing about this team right now is they don't have a Liege. Instead, they have Mo because Liege is doing his finals. And the Liege was probably one of their top fraggers. Him and Nitro were usually one of the 2 top fraggers. So the fact that they don't have a Liege here is pretty bad. But Liege wasn't the best player on LAN, so it probably doesn't matter too much in my personal opinion. But it probably hindered them a little bit. CLG also on a downward spiral at the moment, pretty much like every NA team. They just won an NA LAN, but they didn't face a single a real team. Lick wasn't there, Conquest wasn't there, Luminosity wasn't there, Cloud9 wasn't there. So pretty much they're already favored to win that tournament. So that tournament win doesn't mean too much because they didn't really prove anything. They just played how they should have played. And Conquest, honestly, is probably the same rank as CLG for me. They might even CLG and Conquest is probably closer to 50-50. So I actually don't put them at 8th, but probably the same place as CLG is. So these are just my rankings. Fnatic number 1, Envious number 2, TSM number 3, 4 Navi, 5 Luminosity, 6 Liquid, 7 CLG, and 7/8 CLG/Conquest. So the 4 group matches for tomorrow is going to be Liquid versus Envious, Fnatic versus Conquest, Team Question Mark versus CLG, and Navi versus Luminosity. So the first match is going to be Liquid versus Envious, and depending on who you ask, some people might give a Liquid 14%, and some people might give Liquid 25%. So I think there's a stat that Liquid is 5-30 or something like that against EU teams, which is a pretty horrible record. But Liquid is doing better and better, but unfortunately they don't have a Leisure. Instead they have Mo. So most likely Envious will be taking this one either 2-0 or 2-1. So the second match is Fnatic versus Conquest. Now depending on who you ask, they might give Conquest either 8%, which is pretty low, and some people might give Conquest even up to 18, maybe even 20. Actually, probably no one give them 20 right now because Fnatic is doing pretty well right now. So the highest you probably see is probably around 18%. So Fnatic will most likely take this 2-0 or 2-1. The third match is going to be between Team Question Mark versus CLG. And people might give CLG as low as 13% or as high as 28% just because of how bad TSM has been playing lately. So TSM, you know, they almost lost to Dendi with 5%. They almost lost to eFrag once, who had, I don't remember what the percent was, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty low. And they lost to SK, they lost to Luminosity. They're barely beating Dignitas, so they're barely beating all these teams. So depending on who you ask, like, they might give TSM a really like low percentage just because of how bad they've been playing lately. And the last match to be between Navi and Luminosity, and depending on who you ask, some people might say Luminosity deserves 38%, and some people might say Luminosity deserves 50% just because of how good they're doing right now. And like they're pretty much almost like borderline tier 1 team, or even like the worst or tied with the worst tier 1 team right now. So that was just my rundown for the ESL ESA Pro League that's going to be happening tomorrow. Now, the biggest teams to look out for me is probably going to be TSM on how bad or good they do, Luminosity, and probably Liquid. For me, those are the 3 teams that is either going to surprise you or probably disappoint you, in my opinion. So yeah, see you guys.